my body likes it. I'm not saying that this is good for everybody. Most men prefer to have some meat on a regular basis, and that's totally cool. The trouble is when we get too much into animal food, it just fills us up to the point where we no longer have room for the broccolis and the carrots and the salads. So I tend to fill up greens and plant-based foods before I would reach for anything else. But in the winter time in Canada, people ask me all the time, are you 100% raw? And I'm saying, no, you keep me too cold. That might work for Florida, California, or anywhere warm, but it doesn't work for me. And I know when I start looking at my husband's chicken on his plate, I'm going to have some. You know, somehow then my body must need whatever's in there. I will question that and I'll have it. And then I'm good for a couple of weeks again. So to me, eating well is a lot about common sense, following your instinct and trusting your body and having a really good relationship with your buddy. If we have digestive issues or if we need to have Pepto-Bismol after every meal, to me, that signals that your tummy's not happy with you. My first thought would be, what would I put in there that made my tummy unhappy? So rather than blocking hydrochloric acid, we should ask, perhaps I need to do things differently. So then, in the winter time, when fresh foods are at a premium, I then rely on a lot of my dry foods. So if I'm going off on a tangent, somebody needs to raise a hand and say, lady, you're losing your subject. So please just have a small piece each. These crackers are mostly carrots. They are sprouted buckwheat. That's why I got onto sprouting, I now remember. Now buckwheat, of course, is a wheat-free grain. It's actually a seed from a rhubarb type plant, and which is amazing because so many people are gluten intolerant these days. Help yourself and then just pass it around. So we sprout the buckwheat again to get that life force going, and then we just push out all the carrots and the onions and the garlic, and then we add some spices to it. Then this gets spread on a table, and we flip it onto a screen, and they go in the dehydrator for about 12 to 16 hours. I've got 5, 6 of those going in my house at the time. When you find that you're dehydrating or you're dehydrating quite a lot, you need to open a window, you need to have a little fan going, because I've had water running down the walls. You know, there's a lot of moisture that's being dissipated here. I find people in the summertime, they like to put that on their patio or on their porch, because a dehydrator has a fan and it just sometimes rattles a bit, it's noisy. And then it's just, and I never worry about beasties crawling in because it's too hot and uncomfortable for them. I just don't leave food in there that's uncooked overnight or whatever. The next thing that you must remember when you are spreading dough, kind of like these crackers, you need to put the heat up to about 130, 140 for about 2 hours, because you want to bring that moisture content down really fast. Like a lot of people said, oh, dehydrate, nothing above 90 degrees, and that's simply asking for mildew to grow. Because it takes, especially when it's too cold, whether that is watermelon, tomatoes, all plums, all really dry moisture. You can pass these around so you guys get a feel for, you know, the crispness of it. All high moisture products, if you have your dehydrator too low in the first, say, in the case of plums, for probably the first 8 hours, you might get some mold in there. And after you've pitted them, after you've grown them, and then having to throw them out, that hurts. And I think it's happened to all of us at one point or another. Now, tomatoes is probably my favorite garden crop to dry, because you can put, you know, a big bin of tomatoes. If you were to can them, it takes a little bit of time. And what I do with my tomatoes, usually they make 3 slices or 4 slices, I take the tips off, and then have 2 or 3 thick slices in the middle, and that's what I dry. All the other part goes in the soup pot, or I make a sauce, or I put it in a blender and then make a sauce of it. And you can make leather with that, like tomato leather, just like leather, or just put it in the freezer for chilies and whatever else you need. So that's what I do, because sometimes if you leave, I don't take the skin off. And sorry?
What about the seeds?
The seeds? Well, thank you for asking that. And the seeds actually, I leave them in. And what I do in the spring, and this happened to me last year, I had a variety of tomato that I really, really liked. It was a yellow tomato. It was very, very sweet. And next year I couldn't get the seeds, but I still got some dried slices in the cool room. So I planted a slice. And you know what? I have 50 little plants. Can you imagine that? Like, why would we not be able to grow more of our own food? I mean, nature is an abundant supplier of new material all the time. I have 50, like every single seed out of that slice grew. Try that with a cooked one or a canned one. It ain't gonna happen.
Say something about the nutritional value of the tomatoes or anything. What is the plant that's exposed for so long? I wonder how much.
Yes. Well, of course, the minute you harvest any fruit or vegetable, it diminishes in nutrition. The synergy contained in our food is coming from the sun and the soil. So the minute you have something like 20 minutes or so, there's already some loss. When you cook it, it's like many, many nutrients. It goes down like to 80% of the nutrition is lost. And certainly the protein in your food is lost. 50% of all protein is lost when it's heated. So if you're eating foods fresh, unheated, you can probably be more satisfied because it's not being heated. And this is a little bit of the philosophy between being a raw chef. I'm teaching people to eat food while it's dense nutrients. In different tomato varieties, it's splitting hairs, but I know there's tomatoes with more acidity and lower acidity, and you just kind of have to feel your way around, see what works for you, or what you can grow, or do a novelty kind of thing. Any questions on that?
How long did you say how long it takes to dry the tomatoes approximately?
2 days.
2 days.
And
Do you turn them over?
Sometimes. Okay. Yeah, sometimes. Now, in the Excalibur, you can get what they call Teflex sheets, which are solid, or you can use like butcher's paper or something like that. You can turn them over. I put them on screens. Now, if you don't have the screens, or if you have a different one, or you want to do this in the oven, I go to the hardware store and buy patio door screening, and you just put that on your oven racks. It works just fine. And then I like to turn them over because when you don't turn them over, sometimes they really stick. Now the trick with tomatoes is you need to slice them thick enough. Don't make them a quarter inches too thin for tomatoes to be sliced, because they get too thin when they dry, and then you try to peel them off and they just, break. So the thickness of this is important, for sure. Yeah, you cannot dry tomatoes in the sun. Unless, like, maybe sometimes you can, but you would bring them inside at night and, try it. Why not? It costs nothing. Like, take 4 or 5 tomatoes, or even one, and put them in the sun on a hot day. But take them in around 4. At least that's what I do. But apples might be dry enough, you can keep them out. Oh, totally.
That watermelon you're sending around, did you leave the skin on it?
No,
You didn't?
just the white.
Oh, okay.
Because it helps it keep its shape. I
So-
find without the white it really shrank.
So what would you do for like pineapple? Can you do pineapple?
Yeah, totally. It's wonderful. Bananas, like a lot of these fruits. And pineapple dried pineapple is so useful. For instance, make strawberry jam.
Yeah.
You just put strawberries in your food processor, add some dried pineapple, and it thickens it. You can also do dates for that same purpose. I don't cook strawberry jam. I just put strawberries in the sun for a bit so that you get a little chewy, and then you put it in the blender and you put some dates as a sweetener. There's the jam.
Can you do that with coconut too?
Pardon me?
Can you do it with stuff like coconut?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.